So yes, hello, hi people, Jesus. Oh guys, he's working so hard, guys. Brother Christian.
The best.
Let me see the books. Doo-doom.
Hold it up.
Yeah.
Whoever's editing.
Voila. Voila.
Here's the voila.
Yeah,
In the side,
you were supposed to do that with my second book.
Yeah, somewhere there.
With my YouTuber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Yvonne Princess Shabango. If you're new here, you're welcome to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And you're going to be part of the Graceful family. And I'm back with Konda. And we're still doing. She's back with another bang. So we're still reviewing. We're still doing book reviews. Remember the last time we couldn't finish reviewing the books, and then we're back. We're like, let's give you guys a part 2. So today I'm gonna share my books, and then she's gonna be in conversation with me, right? So I have my books in physical copies, guys. So yeah, just a cheap.
Dragging me. That's what I put them here.
Yes.
Thank you.
So you can get like the books she read, right? She read electronic copies, so you can get them on PDF. You don't have to always get hard copies if you can't. I just never finish my electronic copies. I don't know why. So I'd rather have like my hard copies, right? So these are the 3 books that I'm reviewing. Firstly, The Power of the Now by Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if I'm saying it properly. Yes. And then secondly, Unbecoming to Become by Mam Ayanda Maroto. And then thirdly, which is like a fave, Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. And you see, guys. So the first one, which one did I read first? Okay, I'll start with number 1. I'll start with Green Lights. Guys, this book is amazing, and it goes like for 30 something. It's not bad.
It's not bad for a good book.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's never too much
True.
to spend on a book.
So I learned quite a lot of things from this book, right? I just can't put all of it. I'm gonna try to be brief, right? So that I can have you in conversation, right? But basically, the main thing I learned from this book is that often we obsess a lot with getting to the destination, but usually it's often about the journey. You know, so you can plan and say I want to be a doctor, but it doesn't mean all things are gonna go black and white. You shouldn't just be focused on saying when am I becoming an admitted medical doctor. You should focus on your journey, because most of the times in your journey, that's when you meet passion, that's when you meet new talents, that's when you recognize your new gifts, you know. So it's very important being intentional and deliberate about your journey. That's what I learned from this book. And then so you see, like, Matthew's life changes like upside down, right? He goes into law school, right? Studies law for a year or so, and then he's like, no, I'm not doing it. And guys, it's funny that I keep on reading these books, right? Like, they're very spiritual books as well. But I read these books, and then you find that these people are lawyers, and then they end up teaching law, and they go into the media space. I don't know what God is saying to me. But at least I'm graduated, so it means I'm not going to be a quitter. But he studies law, right? But he's got a passion for drama and music and media. But half the time, you know, the stigmas associated with those kind of careers, right? It's a good career, but any parent is always like, why don't you become a doctor? Why don't you become this, right? But little did he know that in his career as in the media industry, he's gonna blow up, right? So I remember, like, what the highlight of this book, right, was this one time when he wanted to go to a certain island, right? And then his mission was, I want to go there, be in a peaceful state, and be this and be that, right? But when he went there, he met different kinds of people, right? And then he met people that told him different things in life, you know? And he started appreciating his journey, and he realized that it wasn't more about where he was going to end, you know? And it talks a lot about, he was an actor as well, right? And then it speaks to being in connection with your character. So it goes back to also the things you do, the work that you partake in. If you're going to be a cleaner, I like making this example because people take cleaners for granted. If you're going to be a cleaner of excellence. Because in every field, in everything you do, there is a room to be and expect.
Sure.
There's a room to make money.
Yeah.
You know, people often think, oh no, as a cleaner you're going to be paid less, but you can be a millionaire as a cleaner. It depends how you do your work. It depends how you present yourself. So it taught me a lot about how it's important to apply yourself excellently, and it's important to be patient, and it's important also to be present in everything that you do. Do not be ignorant about stuff. Don't be a person to say, okay, no, I can always do this some other time. If given an opportunity now, take it. You know, there's a saying, I don't know who said it, that says procrastination is an arrogant assumption that God is going to give you another chance to do that.
I remember seeing that.
Yes, you know, so I had it from a sermon, if I'm not mistaken. So it's important that we are present in everything we do. And another thing in life, and also another thing I learned, that in every challenge you face, there's always a green light.
Always.
You know, and there's always a green light because the green light is shaped by perspective. So right now, you and I could be seated here, right?
Sure.
Any person could be thinking, oh my God, it's Sunday, I need to go and sleep. That's your perspective. You're choosing to see it in the negative.
Sure.
But if you're going to see it in the positive, okay, this video is going to go out. It's going to teach people. It's going to make a difference in people's lives. So that's what I learned from this book. And I think it's a book that actually changed how I look at things. And it made me appreciate where I'm at, whatever season that I'm at, right? And it also made me laid back with an obsession of the future. Just being here and just being able to function from an excellent space. You know, just being here, forgetting about tomorrow, focusing on what I have to do now and doing it properly and well. You know, and then another thing it taught me, like, this guy was an excellent actor. And in any script that he was given or any character that he was given, he excelled that character to the core. You know, he did not leave any stone unturned, right? So it shows you that everything, guys, like, I can't emphasize enough to say anything, no matter how dumb, no matter how little it seems, function from a place of excellence. And I think also in the book that we were doing with you, Return to Love, also function from a place of love.
Definitely.
If you function from a place of love, things will not frustrate you.
Everything just falls into place.
You know, when you love me, it's easy for you to correct me. It's easy for you to give me grace. But if you don't love me, if you don't like me, you'll be like, oh my God, can she just move out of the way? Or why isn't she getting things right? You know, so this is what I learned from that Green Life. That you should get this book. It's a very nice book.
You know, like from what you talked about, I got two thoughts. So the first thing was, you know, how we all have plans for our futures. You know, people would ask me like, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 3 years? And I remember, I think it was Kay, I was one of South Africa's best YouTubers.
I love her.
She talked about how, on her live actually, she talked about how, like, she doesn't know because it's all part of God's plan. So where she sees herself 5 years is what God wants for her. If it's to get married, fine. If not, fine. But you know, as a Christian, you have to just realize that your life is based on God's word. You get what I mean? So we could be sitting here saying we want to be billionaires, and God's like, no, I just want you to preach the word. That's all I want you to do. I just want you to serve me in church. I don't like. As much as we all have passions and dreams and desires, and the reason why we have those because God instilled them. But you know, when you look at them, like for instance, I want to be influenced. I would love to be influenced. You know what I mean? But influencing what?
And for the record, you are an influencer.
Thank you.
You are. Sure. Maybe not yet. In a literal sense, but you are, because for me, ever since I've known you, I think my first experience of you has always been that of love, that of kindness. Already you influenced me to actually want to be better, want to be kinder, even and your calm spirit.
That's what, you know, like I always say to people that as much as there are influencers out there, they maybe influence with brands, but like, what do they add to my life besides that?
We are all born influencers.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then the second part was, you know, we were talking about how, we also mentioned in part one, about how like in every season you get every book, and then when you read it, you feel like this book was aligned to what you're going through. I realized that, you know, I was saying to myself this morning that from now on, it's no more I win some, I lose some. I'm gonna see it as you win some, you win some. Because you know what, you might see things as a loss, but it's not really a loss. It's God subtracting things. You know, you might lose someone, a friend or whatever, and be like, oh my gosh, I love this person, I can't believe it. But you know what, God is making space.
Yes, and there's something that we spoke about in part 1, right, where we said you pray, you ask God for guidance, right, and we even spoke about to say God speaks to us, you know, and because God speaks to us, when you pray, like right now I could pray and be like, God, give me good friends. You know what that means? God might just move all my friends in my life. I didn't say God remove bad friends, but God, when I say God, I need a good friend. God is never like, oh, you need a good friend. I'm moving everything in life because it's not good for you.
It's not good.
When you pray and say, God, your will for my life, God does what He wants. So often I think we get disappointed because we think God's mind is aligned with us, and it's not, because God has better and more fruitful plans for us, you know. So it's very important that in every season, every circumstance, we see a lesson. Like I said, perspective is very important.
Yes, it's so important because also, you know what, like, life is spiritual.
Yeah.
And to someone maybe who isn't yet spiritually good, they'll be like, what does that mean?
Yes.
But when you get into like the realm of the spirit, you realize that things happen for a reason. As much as it's also when you quote and a term, but things do happen for a reason. So losing friends, losing a job, whatever it is that to you perspectively it seems like you've lost it, it's God making a way for something better, something greater.
You know, Brother T said something today that when he was explaining the whole scenario, saying when the actors were acting, right, all they needed to do was practice their script, right, and then there was the other wealth people that would always supply. There was always a supply of the makeup, you don't worry. And that's just how life is, right? I think it's very important that we always show up. You know, whatever you do, show up. Like you said, you want to be, you are an influencer, right? But you want the world to see you more, to receive you more. And it's important that you show up as that. You know, it's important that you are humble. It's important that you're kind as you are, you know, because I think people remember so much how we made them feel. They can forget one little good thing we did, but I'll always remember when I met you. I talk about it a lot. I always tell them, I'm like, oh my God, Kwande is so sweet. I remember the first day we spoke, it felt like I knew her. And that will never go away. I may go years away from here or 1,000 miles away from here, but I would always tell another person about how you made me feel or what you taught me. So it's very important that you walk in the consciousness of who you are. And another thing I think I constantly learn these days is that allow God, guys, because you know, I love also what you said about everything happens for a reason, right? There's a quote I placed on my Facebook the other day. I was like, every single thing in my life is divinely orchestrated. There's a divine reason I'm losing that job. There's a divine reason I'm not in that opportunity, right? Sometimes it's my mistake, but sometimes it's God restructuring. You know, oftenly when we lose opportunities, lose people, we always want to say, oh my God, this is a bad thing, but sometimes just sit down and
just listen. You know what you're saying? There was one Sunday, I think it's last Sunday or 2 weeks back. But Pastor Tayo touched on that. And she said she even made an example of, like, you know, when you're using a GPS and let's say it told you in 5 kilometers you turn left and said you turn right. It recalculates for you. Okay, since now we're here, let's get you back in the right direction. So it's like God, you know, like this is life, guys. You know, we make mistakes. You know what I mean? Sometimes God is like, go right, and you're like, I want to try go left. But you know, He recalculates your path. He redirects you, and you like, you look back and you're like, wow, God, thank you. Like, thank you for taking me out of that situation, whatever it is. So I really feel like, you know, people should realize that, you know, like, I know it's hard to function from a place of always being optimistic. I get that. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't feel the emotions. Like when you lose a friend, it's sad. It's not the best thing. Maybe 3 weeks later you will realize, man, you're okay. I needed that person to be out of my life. But when it happens, it's okay to feel the emotions. It's okay to ask God why. Like, what happened?
Because you know, another thing that we also forget is, I think the word refers to our God as a God of mysteries. So if we constantly understand everything, then why is He God? He is God to actually fill in the gap. We, like, God's ways are different from ways of man. We never always have to understand, say, God, why don't I have 10 rand today? Why am I not driving like my peers? God knows what He's doing in our lives, right? So that's guys, get green lights. You're gonna have a time of your life. And another thing, just before I go to the next book I learned, right? I'm very passionate about employment, right? And it's something very close to my heart because as young people, there's a very high unemployment rate in the country and stuff like that, right? And it spoke to this thing of saying this guy worked as a waiter at some point. He worked as, mind you, I want to be, let's say right now you want to be a award-winning influencer, right? Then it means sometimes you have to work for free. But we never want humble beginnings.
That's true.
I'm always like, guys, and people always think I speak from a place of privilege. Yeah. I'm always like, guys, I wouldn't, if I have to, I can be a cleaner on weekends, knowing what I need, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we really need to humble ourselves.
Sure.
Don't be, there's a saying that beggars are not choosers and stuff like that. I don't like how the world says it, but at the end of the day, when you start humble.
Yeah.
You know, God knows why these things, these smaller things teaches discipline. Because if you are faithful with little things, which means God can trust you with bigger things. If God cannot trust you with the young 100K, what makes you think He will trust you with $1 million?
Yeah.
You should be able to say, okay, with this 100K, I will give my tithe. With this 100K, I will do this. And God will be like, oh no, my child is faithful.
Yeah.
Is a faithful servant. I will
Stick
bless
to
her
your
more.
word. Yes.
You know? So book number, okay, let me start with 2, The Power of Now. This is like a life-changing book, guys. It's really life-changing. In that, I think another thing, this book's actually interlinked. I think I read a lot. I think it's the season that I'm in, actually. I don't know, the past from last year, there's something God is trying to teach me about appreciating my present state.
Okay.
You know, so I think God is doing a thing in my life surrounding that. Because a lot of the books that I read, like, speak a lot to appreciating you now, right? So this book speaks a lot to, I think I mentioned it in our part 1. Firstly, that every human being is connected, whether you want to believe it or not, right?
Yes.
So it means when I'm being hostile to you, I'm being hostile to myself. I know it sounds cliche because people always think, whatever the case may be, but it's like reflection back at you.
Yes.
You know? So this book speaks a lot also on the power of now.
Okay.
Right, it also warns against the obsession of your future, because it says the only realist time that we'll ever have is now.
That's true.
Remember, so it says, I know the word of God says our God is a timeless God. He's a God of now. So which means God doesn't have a yesterday or tomorrow. Now He's ever
now.
What do they say? It's omnipresent or omniscient or something like that. But He's always in a present state. So this book tells us that the only time we will ever have is now. So stop thinking about yesterday. Stop thinking about tomorrow. Think of now.
Be present.
Be now.
Yes.
So if right now we're talking, we're doing this video, be here fully. You know, because you can never have this time again.
Yes.
You know, even like I love how literal it is. You know, at first I was reading, I'm like, guys, now, and then when they say the only time you will ever really have is now, then I was like, but this is actually deep. Like, what do you mean? But when I thought of it, I'm like, every second is now.
No, definitely.
Every hour is now.
Yeah,
every day
second
is
that
now.
passes is literally your present.
Yes, it's your present. So that's the state we'll always be in. So it tells us that we need to appreciate the power of now. Because also when you are focused on now, right, you oftenly, like I know with young people as well, right, we're constantly worried about future, constantly worried about what am I going to be, how much am I going to earn, when am I going to be this, but it's important that we focus on the now. And on the now doesn't mean neglect everything. Yes, you can plan, right, you can write your vision down and be like, God, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, I want to be that, but write it down and put it away, and be deliberate in where you are in. Right, so if they're gonna say, okay, now Wanda, you're gonna have to read the Rhapsody. Don't let your mind roam around. You know, if they're gonna say, Wanda, it's time to clean. If you're making tea, make tea. Because oftenly we miss our blessings, right? Or we miss things God is trying to teach us because your mind is wandering around. Also, it teaches us, don't be too busy. Don't be too clustered in your mind. Declutter your mind. You know, there's a challenge that I'm following. It's by Nompumelelo Ledwaba. It's due October, and part of the rules is decluttering. Decluttering in a literal sense and also in an internal sense. So, you know, we think a lot. Like, I know I'm an overthinker. My mind functions too much. And sometimes I think about the things in the past, in the present, in the future, right? So I think also it's a season for me now to actually say, okay, no, I've thought about, okay, 2 years time, where would I be? But let me leave it for now. Let me fully focus here. Because also another thing, tomorrow can rob you of fully enjoying now.
That's
Don't
true.
rob yourself.
Because when you're so consumed in your tomorrow, in your Monday, like today's Sunday, and you're already thinking about Monday, I have to wake up and do this and do this. Now you're not enjoying
Yes,
now.
today.
Like now you're feeling sad, you're feeling anxious. A lot is going on because now you're already thinking about your week ahead.
Yes, and time becomes worse because another thing I was telling my colleague the other day, I'm like, one thing I've realized, I can't work under self-pressure.
Yeah.
I figured I'm unproductive. If I put myself under pressure, everything I touch is not fully done. But when you're conscious of now, you're able to do it properly and fully so that this book is more about that and the interrelation of humility and how it's important to love one another, to be kind to one another, to appreciate one another because we are one body.
Sure.
And also not judging, looking at people from their truest form.
Yeah.
And their truest form being love.
Yes.
That is the truest form of humanity.
That's true.
Like you said, I love what you said earlier in part 1 to say our source is love. That's who we are.
Sure.
We are love. So this book speaks on that. It speaks also on how you need to apply yourself excellently. That's another thing. It's a book of excellence.
Okay.
And then it also speaks on how it may be difficult for you to focus on the now, but your mind. I think our man of God, Pastor Chris, speaks. He has a book titled "The Powerful Mind." You can position your mind. You can position your mind to say, "Okay, mind," and our mind listens to us. That's another thing. That's why God says, "I've given you the power of the tongue." So you speak to your mind, but like mind. Today and now in this, I will be focusing on myself.
Yes.
If I'm going to say self-love, I don't have to go on Instagram. I don't have to be half here.
Sure.
If I'm going to say I'm staying off social media, I'm truly doing that. I'm not half in, half out.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm doing it to the fullest.
Sure.
Because another thing we don't know actually as Christians, I think it's something that we're ignorant to or we don't know. Excellence is a form of worship.
Yes.
I love what you said earlier when you said your prayers are not always like, oh my God, let me kneel down and stuff like that. Your prayers, you could be in the shower, you're venting to God. Also functioning from a position of excellence and abundance and functioning in your gifts and talents is a form of worshiping God. So now, God, there's another sermon I was watching, What's in Your Hand?
Yeah.
So now there's things that God has entrusted you with today. Right? There's assignments that you wake up to every day. Maybe your mom says, do this, do that. Those are things you should actually do excellently. So be fruitful. In as much as you may think about your tomorrow, think about this, but be fruitful.
Yeah.
Be excellent.
Be present.
Be be present. This is what I learned from the book, The Power of Now. Yeah. An awesome book. It's also like, it's very tiring, guys.
This one you can finish.
Very quick, very quick.
Sure.
And then I think this one stole my heart because firstly it's written by a black woman.
Okay.
A very powerful woman at that. No drama whatsoever. Like she's just on her lane. Like you know what? Like
an unproblematic queen.
Mam Ayanda.
Sure.
Mangubane Boroto. Like she's an amazing queen. Funny enough, I didn't know her. That's how unproblematic she is. These people
That's also my first time.
Really, she's an actor. Very pretty. She acts in Spy or something.
Okay.
So, I didn't know about her, right? Because I don't watch much of TV. I watch like Netflix series and stuff. So I didn't know about her, right? But a friend of mine, I saw this book somewhere, right? And then I said Sabawe, jokingly so, And then a friend of mine bought me this book, right? It was last year on my birthday, right? And then this book, when she started writing it on August. Okay. I think the 27th or so, like the first part. It starts in August, the first page of it, and my friend gave it to me in August. Like I felt like, oh my God, alignment.
Alignment, yeah.
When I saw the title, Unbecoming to Become. Wow, guys, this is a powerful book, especially for people that have been indoctrinated. Yeah. There's a lot of, often we think we know ourselves, but we don't. You are the results of people that raised you. Your mom instilled the beliefs. That's why you find that when you get married, when you move out, you start realizing, oh no, I don't like pop. Oh no, I don't like coffee, because now you're on your own.
Yeah.
You're independent.
You're discovering yourself.
Yes, you're discovering yourself, right? So this book teaches on unlearning things. Just having a flexible mind to say, yes, I was taught that as a woman I must be hard. I must be this, I must be that. But it's okay for me to unlearn that.
Yeah.
It's okay for me to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's okay for me to be soft as a woman, And then it speaks a lot of stigmas surrounding being a woman in the general sense. I love how it starts, right? And wow, I love this. So it goes back to part 1 where you spoke about how it's important to have a relationship with God, right? So she, in the beginning of the book, she speaks of how she had always been going to church, right? But she didn't have a relationship with God. She went to her husband's church, she would go to church. But one day she woke up, there's something that spoke to her. She woke up and she told her, she had always been scared to say, but my husband and kids go to the same church. We have to, like, you know, the thing of rules, principles. But you don't understand the principles you're following, right? She knew there was God. She believed in God, but she didn't have a relationship with God, right? So she woke up and she's like, she told her husband, she's like, no, I'm not going to church. The husband is like, but why? What do you mean? And then she didn't explain further, but she goes on to explain in the book that that's when she realized she needed to find God for herself. And because she's like, oh yes, you said something also when you said a lot of people know God to be this king that people must be afraid of and stuff. She's like, that's what, she knew God from that. That's how
from
people,
that perspective.
Yes, from a place of fear. God, she even thought God undermines women. God, like, you know, when you fear this person. But she went on a journey to discover who God is. And she related with God better. She felt better. She felt like, you know, there's a part where she talks about these jackets you carry, like a jacket of fear, a jacket of doubt. Like you walk around with this.
You literally wear it.
You wear this on your everyday life, right? But when she started walking this journey, right, and then she says when she started going on this journey to finding God, having a relationship with God, she started taking those jackets off. She started unlearning. She started decluttering. You know, she started letting go. And another thing, right? She speaks of how a lot of people project things. Another chat we had in part 1, right? It's like a lot of people projected certain pains, projected things to it. And then she even speaks of how there's a part where she talks about her relationship, her first boyfriend. She talks about also like our traumas, right? They influence who we date. They influence who we end up with.
Even like the people you choose. Like, like even with friends, actually. Like you choose people because let's say maybe you grew up without love. So now that's what all you seek. Even relationships where you want someone who's gonna love you unconditionally. You want your friend who's gonna love you, like to feel that void that you know you didn't experience.
You know, so even like things like she mentioned about how like she dated this guy, right? This guy would hurt her. This guy was known as this gangster of the community. And she dated that guy to feel, you know, feeling validated. You know, some things we do not because we want. It's because it gives you some sense of identity. You know, so she started discovering who she is. There's something a friend of mine said the other day, right? She was introducing herself. I'm like, don't forget that you're a master's holder and stuff like that. She's like, I forget about it a lot because I've started understanding that there's accolades that I have. They're not who I am.
They don't define me.
They don't define me. That's why I'm able to say my name is Yvonne Shabangu and not mention that I'm a 2-time graduate or whatever the case may be, because those are just achievements. But I am more
than that.
Yes, I'm more than that, you know. And then I also love what you just mentioned also about selection of friends. She also speaks on selection of friends, how there's a friend that she, oh my god, that part really hurt me. There's a friend that she had, right? This friend, they worked together, started off as colleagues, and they ended up being family. She was the boss to the lady. She educated that lady. She did stuff for the lady, ensured that the so she spoke of this friend she had done so much for, right? And it hurt her feelings. I was also hurt on her behalf. I'm like, what kind of selfish behavior is this? Like, why would I do so much for you? Go an extra mile only for you to backstab me, only for you to be mean and horrible to me. Like, you know, sometimes as a human being, like you said, sometimes it hurts. These things hurt and your flesh tends to take over, right? And then you're tempted to say, but I made you. You know, that's how sometimes people utter sentences like or statements like I made you, I took you from nothing, because they're talking from a place of hurt. You know? And then she's like, after that she had to learn a lesson to say her behaving like that had nothing to do with her.
Oh my gosh, you know my mom says that a lot. And you know, she used to say a lot to me in high school because, you know, in high school I think that's the one place you experience friendship breakups, friendship betrayals. And you know, there's this one that happened to me. I don't want to get into detail because it's still something I'm healing from. But it happened in matric, and it really hurt me. Like, I would come back home and I'd always like ask myself, like, what am I doing wrong? I feel like I'm a kind person. I literally go to school, I learn, and I go home. Like, I didn't even do extra activities. Like, I literally went, once it hits 2 o'clock, I mean, like transport protocol. So I'd always like ask myself like, what would make someone do this to me? Like I've only offered them love, joy. Like I really like to think, if I was someone else, I'd want to be friends with you. You know what I mean? Like I don't cause trouble. I don't do stuff like that. So what you're saying, that you do sometimes want to respond from a place of like you want to confront that person. Yeah. I've never been a confrontational person, but when that happened, I was like, I want to tell this person what to get off. I want to swear them on to what. But I'd pray about it, and my mom would be like, you know what, this all what's happening has nothing to do with you. And I'll ask like, but it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
like,
but you're doing this to me. I'm
literally deliberately hate
and
hurting me.
What hurts me? I think this hurts more when you're a Christian because you constantly have to be the bigger person. Sometimes I reach a point where I'm like,
guys,
but God,
pick up person. I wanna hurt that person as best as
yes, sure. Yeah. Because I reach points where I'm like, but God, you didn't die for me so that I could suffer this much. Because constantly, as a Christian, it's like, God, I have this bad habit. My is always laughing at me. Why do I attract boys like this? I don't know if it's my healing power, but I attract really broken people. People oftenly I have like that take so much from me or that text me so much.
Have to be pouring
into them. Yes,
and then
I used to feel like, oh my God, why this, right? And then when I had conversation with also one of my friend was like, no, maybe you're a healing element. It's purpose and it's a gift to you. It may seem draining and taxing, but often these broken people you attract, when they leave your life, they leave changed. And sometimes that's what it means being a servant of God.
Yeah, that's very true.
It means sometimes you have to compromise a lot. You have to sacrifice a lot of your joys, and stuff like that. But often also, I love what you mentioned to say, now you don't want to touch on this story a lot. You don't want to go deep because you're still healing. It shows two elements about you and generally about relationships that it's important to place boundaries. I'm one. I always say to somebody, you could hurt me to the core, but I can never embarrass you amidst people. I can never go and tell people like, Mbali did this and stuff like that. Oftenly, I'd always speak highly of you because if I love you once, and Paige, my friends used to laugh and be like, so you go around loving. If I love you once, I don't stop. That's my. I used to think it's a problem. I used to struggle.
No, the thing is, society teaches us that these elements you're talking about, that they like why, like when someone hurts you, hurt them back. There's even this thing on, I think mostly on Twitter, that when someone goes low, go lower. You know what I mean? Like, I'm major, like I
yes, like, you want us to go there,
more.
Let's go there.
And like sometimes you're like, it makes sense because why would you just start an argument with him? Why would you just hurt him out of like no place? But like as a child of God, you sometimes have to realize that things that happen to you. It's just life. You know what I mean? Also, we need to realize that guys, Satan is just gonna try to
true. I love saying
the more you grow in wisdom, in your spirituality, in your Christianity, guys, there's gonna be more obstacles.
The devil's
because the devil wants to test you, your faith, your patience. Because also stuff like that, they take your patience. You're like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm not gonna kneel down and pray about this. Like, you let that person God. And this is why I always say to my friends that it's okay to be angry at God. It's okay to ask Him why that.
Yes, I mean, He's your father.
He's your father. It's like you'd go to your mom and be like, you'd vent to her and say like, this happened. Welcome to that to God. You know what I mean? So when that whole thing happened, I was very mad at God. I was like, bro, I really feel like I'm the most nicest person on earth. Why would you let that happen to me? Why would you let those people say such bad things about me and gossip about me? Like, what am I not doing right? I was always blaming myself. But you know what? I came to a point in my life that it's not personal. That person is dealing with what they're dealing, and the only way they can get it out is by projecting.
So the element of boundaries, I love that you respected the fact that they did you dirty or whatever the case may have been, but you didn't shame them or anything like that, because that's really the quickest response when you function from a place of anger or reaction. You wanna show the person. And another thing you said because you're still healing. Healing is very important. That's what this book shows you as well. Also, it teaches you the concept of saying, for you to heal, you need to confront those wounds. You can't heal what you don't know.
You can't.
You have to be uncomfortable.
Yes, and I love. I think one of surrogates.
Yes.
Surrogates' messages. I think tension of loyalty, something like that, but it's very recent. And I was talking about that to grow, you have to be uncomfortable.
Sure.
And it's even called uncomfortable growth.
Yeah.
Like you need to tackle some traumas, some triggers, and you need to even ask God that, God, this is where I want to be in life. And you can't become something that unbecome. And this is why I like this title. Like it seems vague, but it's very straight to the point. That to become what you want to become, you need to unbecome something.
Yes, sure.
You need to unbecome some traits, some characteristics, some toxic whatever to become that person. You can't say I want to be loving and still want to function from a place of revenge.
Sure, and it goes back to, like I said, confronting yourself. Like when you hear, it's like I do this a lot, right?
Yeah.
I have this rule whereby when I leave a relationship, I do some confrontation, right, with self.
Yeah.
So I sit down and think about what wrong I might have done, and then once I look at the wrong I might have done, I look at what I could have done better. I look at things that I can change. And then I sit down and actually see. So I don't just move on to the next relationship. I unpack. I sit down and be like, okay, actually, I've become this angry person because of this relationship. Why? Why am I angry when people talk about their achievements? Why am I angry when people are buying cars?
Why do I get triggered or agitated when something?
Why am I always ready to fight? And then, like we say, these things are not easy. These things are uncomfortable. And there's something Umbali mentioned the other video we did, right? She said, Gucci, these things take time. When it's like, body shaming is a thing, right? As young people, right? I'll make an example. If somebody has said to you, you're fat, that thing never goes away. Even when you stand in the mirror and you have to say you're beautiful, you think, but I'm fat. Those kind of things. Sure. So you constantly have to train yourself. And you're going to cry, you're going to break down, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be angry, you're going to lay down. But it's important is you have to rise up.
You have to.
I
had this other, there's this week. I took a week, right? And I told myself I want to introspect. Sure. Because, after listening to Sarah Jakes Roberts' message, I was like, I want to heal from. There's a lot of things. You confront them in your mind, but you don't say them out loud.
Sure.
So, there's things I just want to get over. I just want to forget. Maybe I might not forget, but I want to move on. Because sometimes, when you think of stuff like those, you're blocking blessings.
Sure.
You're blocking experiences. You're blocking people even because you're still held up on this thing. So this week I was just listening to podcasts about self-love and self-care and just your what is it called? Your mentality, mental health,
sure.
emotional health, whatever. And I was like, you know what, Nene? It's so easy to forgive and forget, right? It's easy, but when the small things that trigger you, and then you're like, oh my gosh, it takes you back, 10 steps back.
Sure.
You thought okay, I was moving on, I was healing. And that's the thing about healing. It's not, there's no destination to it.
Sure.
You don't get to a place where you're like, oh, I'm healed. I'm done.
Sure.
I'm great.
And when you say that there's no point of destination, there's something that Cecilia Tyson says in her book, Just As I Am. She says, never as a human being think you have arrived. You don't arrive.
No.
You keep going.
You keep
going. You keep unfolding. You keep learning. You keep becoming. You're getting closer to self. So it is very important that you allow yourself to heal.
Sure.
As long as it takes. And another thing that I've learned, and I constantly preach, people always think forgiveness is for the other person. It's not for them.
No,
Forgiveness is for you.
95%.
It's for you.
It's for your
sanity.
Yeah,
for
with
your
what I was
growth.
saying, with what happened in high school, I had to forgive that person for myself.
Sure.
Because if not, I was gonna wake up every day and just dread going to school because I'm gonna see that person every day.
You're not gonna want to go to school.
Exactly.
You're never going to trust, make new friends.
Exactly.
You're always going to think people are out to get you. Those kind of things. So often the forgiveness is for ourselves.
It is.
And it's for the enhancement of our growth. And it's very important that we understand that. Because if you are not a forgiving person, you're always going to be angry. When you're angry, you attract that energy. We are spiritual beings.
Yeah.
We are spiritual beings. You attract things that things you say, the way you treat people,
even the way you think.
Yes,
because also your mind is also attracts everything.
Yes.
Energy attracts. So if you're always operating from the energy of I'm sad, I'm angry, that's what's gonna happen.
Yes, it becomes. Words are very powerful. Even scripture says it, the power of your tongue. So this book speaks to that as well. Healing.
No,
and it also speaks to a place of love.
Sure.
A place of loving yourself, loving those around you, and a place of not feeling guilty, of being tapping into your power. Often we shrink ourselves.
That's true.
Because we want to identify, and you don't have to. That's your power. The fact that you are you. But often as young people, you want to get to a space and be like, oh, so everyone is laughing out loud, let me laugh out loud. Or so everyone doesn't laugh, let me not laugh. If you're a person who's always laughing, laugh. That's your power.
True.
You will bring light and joy to the room. If you're a person that's always making jokes, do that.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned that, because in high school, it's because everyone says they relate to it. You'd have days where you feel like, I talk too much. I feel like I laugh so much. But today when I get to school, I'm just going to keep quiet.
I have those every day.
By a second period, you're already cracking jokes. You're already laughing the most.
That's who you are.
It makes me realize that actually I'm that person.
Yeah, sure.
If there's one thing my mom says, that like when I'm quiet, she's like, why are you quiet?
I'm that person.
It's so not like
it's
you.
weird.
It's because I'm just a bubbly person. I'm always laughing. Even at myself, I feel like I still know how to be like, you know what, I'm gonna stop being sad now. Because it's also a decision.
Joy.
Being happy is a decision.
Sure.
Waking up and saying, today I choose to be happy.
Sure.
No one can make you happy if you can't make yourself happy.
Sure.
It just won't rub off.
There's something that I think Mbomi said it right. That happiness, right? We don't find happiness in things. We don't find happiness in people.
Sure.
We create that happiness. We are that happiness. It goes back even to the fruits of the spirit.
Yes.
Patience, joy, kindness, those kind of things. We are born with it. But we have to make money first. And to make money first, you nature these things. So it is very important that we should never shrink ourselves. I relate a lot to this. Like, I think Buddy is now even tired of this. Every time, like, today I want to keep quiet. I'm not talking. I'm not touching any mic. And then after that, the next thing, I'm like, even if they say I must have this episode, I'm just going to be like, I'm not in the mood. Where? Because that's your power. That's your purpose. And I realize that I can't hide myself.
You can't.
I'm also those people, when they enter a space, I'm always noticed, even if I don't say anything. That's my power, and it's okay.
Sure.
And Mbomi says, you're not ice cream. Not everyone's supposed to love you. So you may enter a space and irritate people. That's okay.
Maybe just like, you've won.
Asadini.
Like, guys, it's gonna happen.
Sure.
There are people who they don't feel you, and that's fine.
That's okay.
That's okay.
You don't have
you can't
to
please everyone.
Sure.
You can't please everyone. Sure.
So you have to be in a space where you operate as fully as who you are, because that is your power. And operating from fullness, it allows you to function in excellence. Let me tell you, if you try to be me, you're going to be an epic fail. If I try to be you, it's going to be an epic fail. But you and I can cook something better and bigger if we both function from a place of I'm myself,
your true self.
And then let's collaborate. But if I'm going to say, okay, Gwanda, we're doing this video, you have to speak as loud as I speak. I have to lower to your capacity, or whatever the case may be. It's not going to be genuine. It's not going to flow. But if we come and say, okay, I'm loud, I have this loud laugh. What do you have? Okay, you dance.
It's like there's a practical example for exactly what she's saying. It's like the YouTube industry.
Sure.
You know how people are always like, you guys make the same things, you all make vlogs, you all make story times, but it's different people.
Sure.
They offer different things.
Yes,
you're all vlogging, you're all doing the same story times, but like Naledi M is not the same as ZX Online.
Sure.
Michelle is not the same as Yvonne.
Sure.
Yvonne is not the same as any other YouTuber. You could be doing the same subject, but I could relate to you more than I relate to Michelle.
Sure.
Because I could relate more to K-Yams than I relate to
Yes,
to
and I think another thing, Sis Gugu said this on Twitter, right? She's like, those that need a sign to start their YouTube channels or whatever the case may be, start. The time is now, right? Never let people tell you that you're a boring content creator. Some of us want to watch boring people.
Sure.
How do people know that you're not good enough? They're watching your stuff. And that's the whole point. They're watching your stuff. And like you say, I might not relate. Like, for instance, I know, like, I think if Mbomi says anything, I'm always easy to get it because I relate with it a lot. Some people I have to sit and Like
I kind of understand.
Yes,
Yeah,
I remember,
yeah.
right? When I started watching YouTube, I think in 2018. A friend of mine introduced me to the YouTube space, right? And then I loved Mbumi and Buli Makubo, right?
Yeah.
And then I remember when I met Umbali, like I used to talk a lot about Mbumi and that and she started watching Mbumi, and then she found her own favorite YouTubers, right?
Yeah.
And one of them was Caesar and Mzwandi. And then Bali's like, friend, you should watch Caesar and Mzwandi. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to watch Caesar. They're not as interesting.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you today, they my faves, like top 3, you know, because I gave them time.
Yeah.
At first glance, I was like, oh no, not my brand.
Yeah.
But I gave them time. I kept on watching and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it's important. We could sell the same thing. Like you and I could both sell this book, but people receive us differently.
Exactly, because it's also like with sales people. There's always differences in one company.
Sure.
And you could be selling 5 cars a day. I could sell 1. Because it depends on the relationship you have with the people that come in. Do you get what I mean? So no,
It's even in preaching. There's pastors that they when they speak, you're like.
Yes, actually, you know what? It made me realize because when I was in East London, I used to hop from church to church.
Yeah,
I mean, I
sure.
started from Christ Embassy, and then I stopped, and then went to others. And you know what? I would sit there and not hear anything.
Sure.
Like
but
preaching the word that's in the
insane,
Bible,
the
but
powerful word, but
exactly,
you're not hearing. So it's
exactly.
relatability.
Yeah.
I always say to people, like personally, I think people like what Pastor Mike told were called for me because I relate a lot
To them.
and not because I'm saying other men of God or women of God are not powerful enough, but it's the season I'm in.
We're all a different audience.
Sure.
You know, we're at different churches, so you relate to that minister or that reverend or that pastor, and we are at where we are, and we relate. We feel like we're at home here.
Sure.
So you know, your audience will never be the same.
Sure.
Will
And
never be the same.
you know, goes back to even what Lukuku said. She said, Umuti, a market can never be too full. There can never be a
There's no
saturation of
Yeah.
mind. There's always room.
Sure.
Come, start,
Fill up the room
and be
Yeah.
yourself. Being yourself is the best brand you can
It
ever
is.
sell.
It is.
There's nothing you will sell as best as selling yourself.
Yourself.
If you can't sell yourself as an individual, you will never be able to sell any object. Often people that I know that do well in sales are people that first sell themselves as individuals. You're like, I got no personality, but I'll watch her.
Yeah.
You know, I've
Yeah.
seen those kind of things on Twitter. People are complaining, hey, who did this? Mang said this, but they go back and watch.
Exactly.
Because
There's
you
something
wanna-
that's attracting you there.
Yes,
There
you
has
want
to
to
be
see
something.
more. You
Yeah.
know, so yeah. Overall, this book has been great,
Yeah.
life-changing. It has taught me a lot about mind flexibility,
Sure.
healing, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been such a journey,
Sure.
and I'm grateful. And thank you so much for coming
Oh,
here. And I
love
believe because I'm seated with the Most High, the most anointed influencer, this video must give like 100K viewers,
Guys.
a million viewers.
Let's set a target for them, like, guys. There's at least how many views? How many views so that we can like send us something else?
Boma 20K.
Ne?
Like I believe in crazier face.
Subscribers, guys. Ne?
Send
It's
them.
October now. So tell 5K by the end of October.
Please.
So then I'll be here more often.
Yes, if you guys give us
we'll do
5K.
mukbangs.
Yes, in. And there's a
collabs are
competition coming
guys.
up. Like there's a lot going
There's a
on.
lot going
Like
on.
so, if you guys want that during this October, you're gonna have to
Please
subscribe.
guys.
Yep. You subscribe, you like, you share,
Comment.
you comment.